All right, thanks, Tavy. This morning, we're opening the books on border numbers. Encounters with migrants at the Texas-Mexico border are now at their lowest levels in years.
Despite that drop, the state still plans to spend more than $3 billion on Operation Lone Star over the next 2 years. This morning, Jeremy Portnoy from OpenTheBooks.com looked into where this money is going. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, Jeremy, what's the current state of Operation Lone Star's finances?
Right. So you guys were just calling about the budget that Trump's calling the big, beautiful bill. That has $12 billion in there to reimburse all states for their border security spending over the last few years. Senator John Cornyn is saying that's not enough. He wants $11 billion just for Texas alone. And then on top of that, of course, Texas is going to keep spending its own money. The new state budget has $3.4 billion in there for the next 2 years to keep state police stationed at the border for Operation Lone Star and potentially to bus more immigrants like that paid for in the past, going to New York, Denver, and Chicago.
So, Jeremy, how much has Texas been spending on border security each year?
Well, if you go back to 2020 to 2021, that 2-year period, they were spending $800 million then. Under Biden from 2024 to now 2025, under Trump, that peaked to $6.6 billion in 2 years. Now we're back down to $3.4 billion, which is a decrease, but still 4 times more than was being spent during Trump's first term. So that money, has some of that's gone to building a border wall. He's sunk $3 billion into that. It's only 8% complete. And some of the money in this new budget is even going to study ways to incentivize people to let state police put equipment on their private property to carry out some of these border security operations.
Yeah, and at the top, when we were introducing you, we mentioned that encounters at the border have been the lowest they've been in a while. But what about in the last 5 years?
Right. So if you go back to 2020, Trump's first term, there was about 40,000 encounters at the Texas border per month. Then during Biden's administration, that spiked all the way almost to 300,000 per month. But then during Biden's last year, that dropped back down to that 40,000 per month level. Now we're even lower. Last May, there was 9,000 encounters, which is one of the lowest numbers we've seen since the 1960s. But we still haven't seen the state spending decrease back to when it was at that time when there was fewer encounters.
Jeremy, do we know if Operation Lone Star is working?
It's tough to say, right? There's two perspectives on this. Some people are saying, yes, it's obviously working because there's less encounters, so we need to keep spending lots of money on it. And then the flip side is, if there's less encounters, maybe we can safely pull some of this funding without risking safety. So, of course, lots of opinions going around. The Wall Street Journal said a couple years ago that there's no indication that Operation Lone Star is working. The Texas Tribune did an interview with Professor Guadalupe Correa Cabrera from George Mason University. He's an expert on the border. He said it's impossible to know if it's working. There's so many variables like Mexicans' own immigration enforcement, economic conditions in countries like Honduras that drive immigration or can decrease it. So it's hard to say if this is really a worthy investment that Texas should keep pouring billions and billions of dollars into.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. Operation Lone Star is something that we're very familiar with here in Austin. So thank you for chatting with us this morning.
Of course. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. And you can find all of these reports at OpenTheBooks.com.